So, it's prediction time for the F1 2023 season. People, I hope you are ready to hear my ridiculous predictions because they probably will not come true. But we're going to roll with it anyway for the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. We're going to start off with the Constructors. That's right, we're getting straight into this. No wasting time right here. We're going to start off with the Constructors. Going to go from 10th to 1st. Now, let me know what you think about my predictions. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below because I really do want to hear what your guys' opinions of the predictions will be. You know what will happen and potentially who may get lost. But here we are, 10th in the Constructors goes to AlphaTauri. Of course, last season finishing 9th, did not have a very strong season at all. And I think even with the addition of Nick De Vries coming in, Nick obviously being a very strong driver, however Yuki is a bit of a risk taker, you know, and I think with Nick, although he's got the confidence and although he's a very capable driver, I just think he will keep missing out on points potentially. You know, something will go wrong, something will happen, and Yuki won't score any points as well. Of course they will score points, I'm not denying that, they'll score points, just not enough to get that 9th spot, which goes to Alfa Romeo. Of course, Valtteri Bottas, apparently I can't speak, Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guan Yu. The pairing course that Alfa Romeo had last season, a very good pairing in my opinion. However, I think they will end up with 9th, of course they're going to be able to score points. You know, Zhou only showed what he was capable of last season, but I think both of them will, again, just end up out for points on most races. You know, they are very skilled drivers, however, the grid is very skilled, and I think in that Alfa Romeo it's going to be a challenge. You know, we'll see what happens. But 8th goes to McLaren. Yes, I know they were 5th in Constructors last season, alright, but I think now with Danny Rick gone, although Lando can score points, Oscar Piastri coming in, we saw in testing that he wasn't completely confident with the car, and yes, it's testing. But you have to be comfortable with the car to operate it, and that was the issue with Danny Rick. He couldn't get his mind around the car. I think they're going to keep having the same issue. They're making the car for Lando Norris. You shouldn't be making it for one driver, you should be making it for both. But they're not doing that. They're chucking everything out into Lando's side. I think Oscar Piastri may suffer because of it, and I think they'll end up 8th. It's going to be interesting. I know Callum is hating me for saying this right now because he's a McLaren fan, but I do think they'll end up 8th. We'll see what happens, who knows. But 7th does go to Williams. Now, you're probably thinking, Williams? Really? They're not being that strong, But, with Logan Sargent coming in, we saw what Alex Albon could do in Williams last season. He managed to score a few points here and there. I think, with their new boss, with the addition of Logan Sargent and Alex Albon, the pairing of those two, if they have the right car, I think they can make a push for 7th, to be honest, and beyond, potentially, I think it'll be a very interesting watch, Williams, to be honest, and we'll see what happens, but I think that pairing will come good for Williams. But 6th goes to Haas. I think Haas have a very strong chance at 6th, to be honest, with the addition of Nico Hülkenberg, as Daniel Ricciardo cannot say. I think Kevin and Nico will be a very good pairing. Again, I know I say that for each team, but I generally think Haas, want to keep pushing and pushing. I think 6th is a right position for them this season. Potentially, they may have a brilliant car. They may get higher. 5th, 4th. I'm not saying they can't do that. I just think they will end up 6th in a nice position for they may be happy with, They probably will be happy with a 6th, because they don't see that often, a 6th place. So, potentially, I think Nico and Kevin will come good for Haas and score a lot of points. And of course, who doesn't love to see Gunther Steiner happy on Drive to Survive? I mean, season 5 was just amazing. All seasons were. But we all know Gunther Steiner is the main character of that show. And we all want to see him more happy, let's be honest. But 5th goes to Aston Martin. I know Lance Stroll, a very weak, I wouldn't say weak driver, but just isn't consistent with scoring points, but I think with the now addition of Fernando Alonso, he will carry that team to points. I reckon we all know he is a very consistent driver at scoring points, so I think he could bring that to Aston Martin and get them fifth, to be honest. It'd be a good position for Aston, and they'll be working their way up, and I think, that will be a very good tie for Fernando Alonso in the Aston, to be honest. But fourth rests on Alpine's shoulders again. Of course, their goal this season is not to get third, but to close the gap between third and fourth. And I think, they could potentially make a jump for third, but I think they'll stick it in fourth. Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, a brilliant pairing of the two Frenchmen. I generally think they will bring home the points most races and get fourth for Alpine, and they will be very happy with that. Otmar will be beyond pleased with fourth if that gap is just smaller to third. And of course, talking about third, we're talking Ferrari here. Now, you're probably wondering, why Ferrari? They were second last season. I think, I'm just going to say now, the top three are very close. I could not the second and third, I could not decide. I struggled with so much in deciding who to put where, but this is the order I put them, to be honest. Ferrari, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, two brilliant drivers, but we saw reliability issues last season. Costed Charles the championship and Ferrari the constructors. Although with the addition of Fred now and potentially a very strong looking car, they could make a push for constructors and the drivers' championship. It all comes down to reliability issues again. Strategy they struggled with. I know that's mainly down to Mattia, but it's going to be a very interesting watch for Ferrari this season. I think third, I think they'll settle it in third, to be honest, because why not, I think third's a good position for Ferrari. But taking second here is Mercedes. I think, although George Russell has come out and said, the car's not looking strong enough yet. I think that is the main word, yet. We saw them come back and fight Ferrari for second place, and they just missed out. But I think Mercedes will be a lot more prepared this season, and I think they will absolutely take the fight to anyone on track, Ferrari and Red Bull mainly, of course. But yes, I think, Lewis and George will be brilliant this season. I think they will get wins, and I think they will carry Mercedes into that second spot. Of course, they will be wanting to go first, having 8 Constructors' Championships, but it's going to be a very interesting watch for sure, and I think Mercedes will go second. But of course, that leaves only one team, and I know you think I'm biased, wearing my Red Bull t-shirt, but we saw their pace in testing. They were beyond anyone else. I think no one can deny that. Red Bull are looking so strong. Even P1, admitted that. Matt and Tommy both said that Red Bull are looking the strongest this season. I think it won't be easy for Red Bull. It will be a close battle between Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull, but I think Red Bull will just take the Constructors' Championship again, and, it'll be a very interesting watch for sure, especially for me being a Red Bull fan, but I think Red Bull will take it this season. But moving on swiftly to the Drivers' Championship, we're going to run through this sort of quickly just to, get it out of you guys' way. 20th, I've put Lance, again, a very weak driver, doesn't always score points. We know, if it wasn't for his dad owning Aston Martin, he would not be a driver there. So yeah, put Lance 20th. 19th, I put Yuki, again, a very inconsistent driver. Is capable of scoring points on his day. Absolutely a very good driver, but it's just that inconsistency I think will come into play, and that recklessness we all know Yuki has. 18th, I've stuck Oscar, and I know you may think, hold up, Oscar's not going to be low down. Again, as I said earlier, his confidence on the car is not there right now. It's, I don't know how to put it exactly, but it's just going to be a very interesting thing for sure. And yeah, I think that confidence issue and in the car, and I think McLaren's car just doesn't work any for anyone else except Lando. I think that's going to be an issue for Oscar Piastri again this season. So I think he will stick it in 18th, very unfortunately. Then moving on to 17th, Zhou Guanyu. Again, a very skilled driver. However, I think he will stick it into 17th. I think he will score quite a few points, but not enough to hook that 16th spot, which goes to Logan Sargent. I haven't seen very much of him, but what I have seen, he looks like a very good driver, and I think he could beat Zhou Guanyu to that 16th slot. To be honest, I think that would be a very interesting battle. I think it may even turn out to be a four-way battle for 14th. But we'll get into 14th in a minute, because you have 15th going to Nico Hulkenberg. I think Nico will stick it in 15th. I think he will score points, as I said earlier, for Haas. However, I don't think it'll be enough points to hook on to that 14th. I think his first season truly back in Formula 1 is going to be an interesting one. We know that Nico is not the best driver. Of course he's not. But I think he has a good chance at 15th. But not 14th, because that goes to Lando Norris. I think Lando will score quite a few points this season, because the McLaren car is made for him, as discussed earlier. However, I don't think it'll be enough for 13th. Because we know that McLaren are struggling to get that pace out of that car. They really are. They were last season. They are potentially are this season. It's gonna be interesting for Lando, that's for sure. But moving on to 13th is Nick De Vries. Of course, his rookie season within F1, I believe. A very interesting driver for sure, but I think he will stick it in 13th. Of course, rookie season. Who knows what's going to happen, but I think Nick will go 13th. Then going 12th is Alex Albon. I think Alex has shown what he could do in Williams last season. I think he'll be even better this season, score even more points, put that Williams to its absolute limits, and do his absolute best. Because we know Alex is a good driver. She got very unlucky, especially in the Red Bull, that's for sure. Moving on to 11th here is Kevin Magnussen. I think Kevin showed again what he could do last season, coming in at Bahrain, getting that 5th place. Of course, had a few races where he wasn't in the points, quite low down, but other races he was out there, and he was absolutely showing people what a true redemption story it really was from his old time in Haas to now this time. And I think Kevin will do well to get it into 11th. But 10th goes to Valtteri Bottas again. A skilled driver in his own right, was second, unfortunately, to Lewis for 8 whole years in Mercedes. Again, a lot of fans are not happy about that. They think that Valtteri should have had a lot more chances to win races, potentially go for a championship, but was always played second fiddle to Lewis Hamilton. And I think he's a very capable driver to get 10th, to be honest. I think might be a good spot for Bottas, potentially. But 9th goes to Fernando Alonso. As I said earlier, I think he'll carry Aston Martin with the points, and I think he will get that 9th spot. Not bad spot for Fernando Alonso, I think, who knows. But Esteban Ocon takes 8th. Again, a very skilled driver in his own right. Could get a very good driver. Don't know what else to say, to be honest. He was always mainly in my points last season. So I think he could score quite a few points here. And of course, on 7th is his own teammate, Pierre Gasly. Pierre, a very unlucky time in Red Bull, went back to AlphaTauri, and I say, showed what he could do in an AlphaTauri, although they got 9th. Pierre still showed what he was capable of, and I think in the fast Alpine, he will just show that even more, but who knows. 6th goes to Carlos Sainz. Now, I know your Ferrari fans probably haven't, not happy with me on this, but I think Carlos has only just won his first race. He'll be going for more wins, of course, but I will say this, the top 6 will be very close. It will be so close, I reckon. But who knows. 5th goes to George Russell. Again, got his first win last season, same as Carlos. Definitely going to be going out for more. A very skilled driver, as I've said, for all of them. And who knows whether he'll be on equal power and an equal position in the team as Lewis. or whether he'll be second fiddle to Lewis, as Valtteri was, who knows. But speaking of Lewis, he takes 4th here. I think this will be Lewis's sort of comeback season. I think he will get I think he'll get quite a few wins. I think he'll show what he can do. Again, show everyone why he is a 7-time World Drivers' Champion and probably the best driver in F1 in his own right, matching the current record for titles with the one and only Michael Schumacher. But yes, I think this will be Lewis's comeback season to win a lot more. But Charles takes 3rd. And again, I know you Ferrari fans probably are outraged about this, but I think, last season didn't go too well for Charles. Obviously it was none of his fault. It was due to strategy. It was due to the car and everything. But I don't think he will be ready to win the championship this season. I think, that car potentially will be quick. And as I said, it will be very close championship race. Honestly, it will be. But I don't think he'll get that championship. And I think he will be beaten by Checo. Of course, last season we saw Charles did beat Checo to 2nd. Now, you could also put the blame on Max Verstappen, say that, he should let Checo pass. But I think Checo will end up getting 2nd this season and beating Charles because it's just the Red Bull car pace. That's mainly what it is. Checo, very skilled driver in his own right, but that driver skill can only take you so far. But if you have a brilliant car, that can also take you very far. And I think that Red Bull car will take him to 2nd place. And speaking of taking people to anywhere, Max Verstappen becomes a 3-time World Drivers' Champion. Again, the Red Bull car. The pace is looking phenomenal. Didn't say that right, but you get the gist. And I just think he will end up winning the 3rd. It will be a very interesting... It will be a very good watch for sure for all us Red Bull fans. But I just think with his skill and with the car itself, I think he will end up winning that 3rd World Drivers' Championship just, though. Again, I think the top 6 will be very close. So it'll be just. But I think he will end up doing it nonetheless. But people, that is my 2023 F1 predictions. I hope you did enjoy this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Let me know your predictions in the comments down below because I really do want to see them. Please do leave a like, subscribe if you are new because more DFL and F1 content coming your way. And this uploads on Friday the 3rd and maybe, possibly, Sunday the 5th when Bahrain starts. Watch along on my Twitch. So follow my Twitch. Don't forget to do that, people. But yes, I will see you all later on. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye, guys.